Hello! Welcome to Introduction to Windows 11. I am StormWind Studios instructor and Cybex author, William Panek. Hope all of you are having an absolutely terrific day today. So I'd like to thank everyone for taking a little bit of time out of their busy day to sit through and watch a little bit about Windows 11. Give you a good little introduction to the brand new Windows operating system. So over the next hour, we're going to talk about some of the different versions of Windows 11 that you can use, some of the features. I'm going to show you the desktop, kind of take you around for a quick little tour, show you some of the different settings that you might want to look at, including maybe some of the privacy settings. So welcome to all of you. It is great to see everybody out for a Windows 11 webinar. So before we get going, let me go ahead and take you over, and I'm going to give you a little bit of an introduction of who I am and who StormWinds is. So this is the Windows 11 First Look webinar. As I said, I am one of the senior instructors at StormWinds. My name is Will Panek. I have been certified since NT 351. It's been a long time. And I have been certified pretty much in most of the Microsoft technologies ever since. I have been a trainer for just coming up on my 25-year mark. During that time, though, I worked as a IT member, as an IT admin, and for many years I was an IT director before coming on with StormWinds. I am also a 5-time Microsoft Worldwide MVP winner. This is an award that Microsoft gives out to people who excel in certain parts of the industry. Mine were all in networking and security. And I am also the same Will Panek that has written over 45 Cybex Microsoft study guides. So if in the last 20 years, if you purchased a study guide, a certification guide from Cybex, there's a good possibility that you purchased one of my study guides. So what we're going to do is we are going to take some time and we're going to talk about the brand new version of Windows client, Windows 11. Now, this is quickly what Windows 11 looks like when you pretty much set it up, ready to go for the very first time. It's got a little bit of a look and feel that's different from what we're used to in the Windows 10 environment. And I'll show you some things you can actually change around the look and feel so that it can feel a little bit more, even if you want, like Windows 10, especially for your end users. Because obviously one of the things that is always toughest whenever Microsoft or, they put out a new operating system is that learning curve that our end users have to go through. Every time we implement a brand new product, obviously they have to learn about that product. And that takes some time. And in a corporate environment, time is money. So you can actually change the operating system around a little bit, make it look a little bit more like Windows 10 if it makes them feel a little bit more comfortable. But before we even get into that, let's take a look at some of the different Windows 11 versions that you can do. Now, originally, when Microsoft first put out the notification that they were going to be releasing a brand new version of the client, Windows 11. This took a lot of us by surprise. Because if anybody remembers, when Microsoft put out Windows 10, they announced that Windows 10 was going to be the last client operating system. That was going to be it. All they were going to do is they were going to put out upgrades and new versions, but Windows 10 would be the last one that we would have to worry about. Well, obviously last year all of that changed when Microsoft announced that they were going to be releasing Windows 11. Now, when they first did that announcement, Microsoft did a rollout. And when they did the rollout, they invited people to sit through the live presentation of the Windows 11 rollout. And I did. And to be honest with you, at first, I really wasn't that impressed. Because everything that they were really showing inside of, the newest features, the newest capabilities of Windows 11, really focused around Windows 11 Home, and it really focused around gaming. Now, that's great, putting out a brand new operating system, specifically target gamers. Okay, I get it. But really, what was that going to do for us in the corporate environment? So for the longest time, that's all they talked about. It was going to be Windows 11 Home. Well, Microsoft, obviously, when they released Windows 11, they put out different versions to go along with the home version. And some of the versions, obviously, are what we would use in a corporate environment. So, Windows 11 Home, that's for your average, everyday home user. Again, really good if you want to, play games, have virtual reality, get more involved in what you're doing in a home environment. Windows 11 Pro is the first one where you can tie it into a corporate network. Windows 11 Pro Education. This is for people who are in colleges, universities. They can get a copy of Windows 11 Pro, but get it at a cheaper rate because they're in school. You have Windows 11 Pro for workstations, Windows 11 Enterprise, which is the highest level of a corporate version, Windows 11 Education, which is the straight out enterprise version of it. Again, it's pretty much the same thing as Windows 11 Enterprise, but they give it to you at a cheaper rate. And then Windows 11 Mixed Reality. Now, when they first released Windows 11 Mixed Reality, to be 100% honest with you, I had to do a little research to actually figure out what this was going to do for us. And it is exactly what it says. It is for mixed reality, or more or less gaming, virtual reality. It allows you to have a virtual reality setup, and it makes it much easier for you to tie your Windows 11 system into the virtual reality world. So if you are a gamer, Windows 11 really is a nice way to go because it does give you all kinds of new features and gaming capabilities. Another thing that Microsoft really put a lot of emphasis in when they released Windows 11 was the graphics. The way that the video cards worked. Because again, originally, I don't know if it was their main idea to make Windows 11 more or less a gaming version. But that seems like with a lot of the capabilities that you got, it kind of seems like that's where they started from. And then they started changing that around a little bit so we could use it in a corporate environment. Now, some of the Windows 11 advantages that you got, it gives you kind of a Mac interface feel. So it's got a clean design, rounded corners, it's got a nice look to it. The taskbar, the start menu, they give you a little bit more of a Mac feel for everyone out there who is just an absolute lover of Apple. With Windows 11, you can actually integrate Android apps and your Android phone right into the Windows 11 operating system. They also give you the ability to go back to using widgets. Now, you may remember like the desktop widgets and when they first came out with Windows 7 and then Windows 8. So you can actually, they've added some widgets back in so that it gives you the ability to just add little personalization, things that you like to your desktop. It gives you Microsoft Teams, which is integrated right into the operating system. Now, this is something obviously we all want in a corporate environment, because I don't know about you, but having the ability to actually tie a Windows 11 in with Xbox, man, I can't tell you how long I've actually waited for that. I mean, every single time Windows put out a brand new operating system, the first question I asked myself was, am I going to be able to tie this in with my Xbox? So I'm glad that Microsoft was actually listening. So listen, again, for a home version, this is a wonderful thing. For most of us, because we're in a corporate environment, you know, the Xbox probably isn't going to be on the top of our list. But you never know. Maybe some of you have a lot of Xbox systems at work. But it does give you better ability if you want to connect in and work with the Xbox. Again, it gives you much better virtual desktop support, and it gives you much easier ways to have multiple monitors, multitasking. You get a lot to do with touchscreen. That is really where you start seeing a lot of the advantages for Windows 11. When you're talking about the graphics, the touchscreen, where you can literally go in and just by using your touch stylus pen or your finger, all right, you can go through and you can highlight, you can more or less just have the touchscreen feel of it. So again, is this something that you're really going to want to change all of your corporate machines because of it? It's up to you. But it does give you the ability to quickly and easily have more monitors, and that could be something that could be very beneficial to you in a corporate environment for the multitasking. Now, the Windows 11 desktop, I showed you the live one, but it's got a nice little look and feel. You can obviously change it around. If you're in a corporate environment, you might not want to use the blue background that they kind of give you. You could actually set it up if you're connecting these machines to a domain. You can actually have corporate a desktop made and send it out automatically to all your users by using something like a GPO. So you can give it more of a corporate look and feel. So you get a lot of flexibility on how you want your users to see the actual system. Now, the start menu is something that has changed. And one of the biggest things with the actual start menu is where it's actually located. As you can see, our start menu is right in the center of the screen. Now, I gotta be 100% honest about this. When Microsoft did the rollout, this was a major component that they were talking about. They really, during the couple hour, I think it was like 90 minutes or 2 hour long Windows 11 rollout, they really focused on having everything in the center of the screen. To be honest with you, I don't know if that's truly going to help productivity in a corporate environment, to have the actual start menu and the stuff in the center of the screen instead of to the left side of the screen. But I guess everybody has their own opinion of where they want this, how it feels, how it looks. So you do have the ability to actually alter that though. And I will show you how to go in and do that. So you can move that back to the left-hand side if you would like to actually have it that way. So you can make this more into a corporate feel instead of the initial right out of the box background that you get. Now, another thing that has changed around a little bit is how you set the actual system up, the settings. So if I kind of show you, I'm going to right click on the little start menu here. You have a spot right here for settings. So when you go in, this is where you can start going in and doing a lot of your configuration on this box. Now, I've seen some comments being put up about, I guess they are asking about Windows 10, how long Windows 10 is going to stick around, how fast do you actually have to move to Windows 11. Well, I've actually read the same thing that a lot of people are commenting on, that the date is around 2025. And from what I heard, they're going to continue on with the Windows 10 certification going that way. One of the big things that a lot of us obviously do in the IT world is we want to get certified on these products. And the reason why is because the certification shows a lot of employers that we know what we're doing when it comes to these different operating systems. And recently, Microsoft has really changed around how you do certification when it comes to server-based and client-based operating systems. For example, last year, Microsoft got rid of the MCSA and the MCSE, two of the most popular certifications that they had. Well, at the end of last year, Microsoft released a brand new certification track that is going to be server-based, but it's going to include using Azure on top of it in a hybrid environment. The two exams for that one are AZ800 and AZ801, which we've started delivering here at StormWind. So if you want to still get a server-based certification where you're dealing with on-site servers, you have that track you can go. But on the client side, it's still Windows 10. And from everything that I've read and I've seen, I don't know if they have any plans right now to do a Windows 11 certification. So Windows 10 might have to be the way you go. And from the same thing, and the only reason I'm bringing this up is because I've seen a lot of people commenting up. I've seen the same comments where they're talking around 2025. So I imagine by then, if Microsoft wants to have a new certification track, it'll be out by then. But as of right now, you pretty much have to stick with the Windows 10 certification. Now, I see a question that was posted up about, do you really need to have a Microsoft account? Yes. You have to have an actual Microsoft account when you're setting your box up. So, if you want, you can actually connect these boxes to a domain and still use on-site domain accounts. So you can still use on-site domain accounts. But, yes, when you first set this up, and as you can see, I've done that. As I logged in, I actually had to sign in using my 365 account. So, to answer your question, yes, right out of the actual box, you're going to need a Microsoft account. All right. But you can, as long as it's not home, because in the home environment you can't do it. But as long as it's not the home version, you can actually connect these to an on-site domain. So, as you can see, the settings area is a little bit different. A lot of us now, you can still, and I actually have this, you can still use the good old-fashioned control panel. And I do keep the control panel available for me, not because you can't get to everything in the new settings. It's just for a lot of us, because we've been working in the Windows environment for so long, a lot of us still kind of like the good old-fashioned control panel. It's just sometimes a little easier to find some things inside of the control panel compared to going through settings and doing it. So, yes, I still have a copy of the control panel. Now, another way you obviously can always do this stuff is PowerShell, and the most common way in a corporate environment, doing it through a GPO. Now, if you are not familiar, if you don't understand GPOs, GPOs are group policy objects. They're just rules. And what they allow you to do is they allow you to go into your server, sit down at your on-site server, and set up rules on how the actual client operating systems are going to work. As I said, one of the things that you can do, you can go in and change the background. You can get rid of the default desktop and you can create a corporate desktop. You can turn things on and off right through a GPO. One example of that is the store. You might not want your users using the Windows Store. Personally, as an IT director, I never had my users, I never gave them the ability to use the Windows Store. Because again, one rule that we always followed, any software you're going to put on this box has to be approved by the IT department. And because it has to be approved by the IT department, I don't want you going out and just grabbing something from the Windows Store and start using it. So that's what GPOs can do for you. They can turn things on for privacy settings, security settings. You can even deploy software through a GPO. So if you would like, one of the things that you can do, instead of obviously going around and manually working on these boxes and making changes to each individual box, you can go in and actually do it through a GPO. So you still have the good old-fashioned control panel if you want to go that route. So on the left-hand side here of our settings, there are all kinds of different things that you can go in, but one of the areas that I want to specifically talk about for a minute is your privacy and security settings. Any of you that have actually sat through classes with me, and I see a lot of very familiar names out here that have actually been in a lot of my classes. One thing that I always highly recommend is that you go through and take a good hard look at the actual privacy settings of the client system. Because there are things in here that you're probably going to want to consider turning on or turning off. Now, for a lot of you, I just finished yesterday teaching an actual hacking course here at StormWinds. And that was one of the things that we really got into when we were talking about hacking. Because one of the things that you want to always try to do is have what we call the smallest attack surface. And what that means is you want to make sure that you have your systems hardened, locked down enough so that it makes it very, very difficult for hackers to get onto that box. Unfortunately, there are a few things that Windows puts into the operating system that kind of goes around what we are trying to do. So I'm going to give you an example. So we're going to go into the privacy and security settings. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to work my way down. Now, obviously, in this area, you can go in and you can set up your location services. Do you want the camera to be on or off by default? Microphone, the normal stuff that we use on every operating system. But as I scroll down, there's one very specific area that I want to show you, and it's other devices. This is something that you definitely will probably want to look at. And here's the reason why. All right, let me put myself back on camera here so I can kind of explain something. For a lot of you that have sat through my classes, you know that I am deaf. I am completely deaf on one side, and I only have a little bit of hearing on my other side. And if I turn my head, you can see I got this tiny little peg that sits right out of my skull. That allows me to put a little hearing device onto that peg so I can actually hear on that side. Now, one of the great things about this is when I got the device, I could literally tie it in to my cell phone and control it through the Bluetooth right on my cell phone. It's great. A lot of you probably have a lot of Bluetooth devices that you use. Awesome. Great way to go. But there's something here that is a little strange, and it's under other devices. So let me pull myself off and let me show you. I'm going to actually read this just so I know it can be a little bit hard to see this. This is what other devices is. Let your applications, let your apps automatically share and sync information with wireless devices that do not explicitly pair with your PC, tablet, or phone. All right, let me say that one more time. Let your apps automatically share and sync information with wireless devices that do not explicitly pair with your PC, tablet, or phone. Yes, as someone PowerShell just typed up, that is crazy. Yes, it is. So, you have your brand new portable little Windows 11 device. You are at Dunkin' Donuts. You're having a cup of coffee. You actually decide, you know what? I'm going to do a little work while I'm here. And someone is sitting in Dunkin' Donuts with a proper device, and they can automatically connect to your Windows 11 box, and they don't even need to pair. Yes, it is crazy. I mean, when I hook up my hearing aid, I literally have to pair it. I have to actually tie it into whatever I'm using it. There is a setting here where you don't even have to pair. And it allows your applications to automatically share their information with that wireless device. Now, there is a spot here that says choose the apps that can communicate with this unpaired device. This is actually new. Believe it or not, when Microsoft first put this out, when Microsoft first put this out, this option wasn't even here. But now there's a link. So let's click on it. Let's choose which apps we want to pair. Now I have applications that are on this box. It's kind of taking a second there. Wow, look at that. I get absolutely no options. That's great. Now listen, you can read about the privacy statement. Oh, that's awesome. But there are no options. And this is on by default. So it's not like I turned this off and that's why there's no options appearing. So this is actually on. And just so all of you know, this is actually on by default. All right, this is actually on by default, including your Windows 10 boxes. So this is something that maybe you probably want to go in and turn off. Now, just so you understand something, just because you might be wondering, I am not on a virtual machine. You may think to yourself, well, maybe he's running this in a virtual environment, so there really isn't no Bluetooth. Well, I'm not. I am actually on a Windows Surface Pro laptop. That's how I'm actually showing you this demonstration. So here you go. This is the actual box that I'm connected to that I'm showing it to you. So it has Bluetooth. So it's not like I'm not getting the option to turn this stuff off because I'm in a virtual environment and the virtual environment doesn't have Bluetooth. I'm actually running this on a Surface Pro. So that kind of tells you right there that you can't actually pick and choose which apps. So that's a problem. So that may be something that you want to go in and you actually want to turn this off. And again, you can go through and do this through a GPO. All right, some other things that you can actually do in the settings area. Now, by the way, just so that you understand this, I would go through and I would literally take a few minutes and go through and look at all of these things. Because real quickly, let me show you one other thing. Our background applications. Hold on, I must have scrolled right by it, right? All right. It was here before. Hold on a second. Let's see. I just did an update on this, so I wonder if they actually changed it, if they moved it. But there is a spot here under privacy and security where you can actually pick and choose what's running in the background. And I guess they moved it to another area because it's not here. All right. So there is a spot. I would highly recommend that you actually just go through that. So I apologize. It's not a great demo but they moved it. So there is a spot, and again, we're going to have to, find it. That's the downside. They're constantly changing, but there is a spot you will find somewhere out here that will actually show you background applications that are actually up and running. And normally it sits under privacy. It normally sits under privacy and security. So they may have just moved it to another location. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because when you do find it and you take a look at it, you're going to see there's all kinds of applications that are actually running in the background by default. And a lot of them are things like Candy Crush. There's a lot of stuff that's in there. So you might want to go through and take a few minutes. Yeah, we have the app section. Maybe they did move it to the app section. So let's just take a look. Let's see if they have a area here for background apps. That's the downside about some of this. It's harder to find a lot of the stuff here as they keep making changes. So let's just see. All right. Yeah, I don't actually see the area for background apps. So they probably, it always sat under the privacy and security. So it's probably still here somewhere because they've started putting things under other areas. So it is probably here somewhere. And since we only have limited time here, I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. But go through and actually find the background apps. On Windows 10, it's right under privacy and security, and it was here because I just actually did the Windows 11 class, and I actually showed everybody in the class. All right? So, all I want you to do is this. All right? It's not a big deal if I bring it up on the screen or not. The big thing that I just want you to understand is go through it. Just take the time and go through and look at all the different background apps. And the reason why I say that is because there's a lot of stuff that's actually running by default in the background. One of them is Disney Magic Kingdom. Candy Crush. There's all kinds of stuff that runs in the background for Xbox. So you're probably going to want to go in and you're probably going to want to turn a lot of this stuff off. So under the main settings, if we go under our main settings here, let's take a look at System. Under System, here's where you can actually go in and find out just general information about your box. Now, one of the things that you can also do from this location is you can rename the box from this location. You can change the display, the sounds, how notifications appear, all right, power and battery, that kind of stuff. You can go in and you can actually find out a lot, including if it's activated. But a big area I just wanted to show you was About. Because the About page actually shows you what's actually running on this box. So as you can see, we're running Windows 11 Pro. I actually installed the operating system in October, and we're running version 2.1H2. So this is where you'd want to go in and actually, if you need to look at the main stuff in the About section. Also, you can do your domain and workgroup settings from here. So if you want to change and put it onto a domain, you click domain. You can add it to a domain from here. System protection settings, how you want to actually do a backup, so you can actually do restore points if you want to set up restore points. And then they have the advanced system settings. And this is where you can change around like performance, startup, recovery. So you can do all that right under the actual About section. So, and just like I said, including renaming the machine. So this is a good area that you're probably going to want to go through and take a look at, is the About section. Because this is where you can do a lot of your basic setup, like the name of the machine, adding it to the domain. Now, Windows 11 gives you the ability, obviously, to connect it onto a network. Wireless is built right in, added to a domain. So none of that has changed. That's pretty much all the same. And as I said, you also have the ability of going in and actually playing with the control panel, which again is kind of nice, because if you are comfortable with the control panel and you don't want to have to try to go through and find all these things inside of the individual settings, you can just go through and do it through the control panel. All right. Now, Windows 11, I always kid around and joke around with people when they ask me about Windows 11. To be 100% honest, I still have a little bit of mixed feelings on Windows 11. It's nice. All right. It's a clean system. It's got a nice look to it, got a good feel to it. There's a lot of things that could be very useful. You can actually dictate directly to the box. Now, as somebody who writes books, that's a nice feature. It's built right into Windows 11, and they've actually improved on it over the previous versions. So if you have to write up documents, you have to, so instead of sitting there just typing, you could actually do dictation in the box. It has really great support for multi-screen projectors. You can connect into a lot of this, and it's very easy to do. In this environment, I have multiple monitors right in front of me right now. So it makes it real nice on some of these features. But when I first started playing with it, to be honest with you, I get more of an operating system that is meant for home users and gaming. That's where I see a lot of the features that they really stress on, including the actual graphics. If you are a gamer, Windows 11 is definitely the operating system for you, because they have 100% changed around the graphics of Windows 11. The look, the feel, how the actual graphics works with the CPU. So if you're a gamer, it's a great operating system. I'm still not 100% sold that this is going to be a really great operating system for us right now in the corporate environment. So I'm still on the fence. As they come out with more and more updates, obviously that opinion may change. All right. But, you know, one thing I do want to show you, actually, let me put you back out here. There is one thing I do want to show you, because this is something that has been an issue for a lot of us. Everyone here actually knows probably all of the troubles that are going on around the world. That brings up some interesting points for us. Cybersecurity. You've all probably seen what's going on in the news. One of the biggest concerns right now, cybersecurity. Are we going to get hit with cyber attacks? Now, what I'm about to show you is the same on Windows 10, Windows 11, and Windows Server. So if you want, you can go in and actually make this setting. But if you go into the security settings and you go to your virus and threat protection, the one I kind of want to point out to you is ransomware. This is the one I actually want to talk about. All right, let's take a minute and let's talk about the actual ransomware settings. Hold on, give me 1 second. I apologize. I am just recovering from being sick, so I apologize. So, all right, so on the ransomware protection, you can go in and you can actually set up controlled folder access. This is important, and that's why, with our few remaining minutes, I want to talk about this particular section. Controlled folder access means that you can go in and specifically choose which applications are going to be able to access files, folders, and your memory. If you think about ransomware, like any other malware, is an application. It's an application that gets on your box. Once it kicks off, normally it encrypts your files and makes it so that you can't access your own stuff. What Windows has done, and this is the same on the server side. Okay, there is one difference, and I'll show it to you on the client side. But you can go in and you can choose controlled folder access. By turning this on, you can literally go in and pick which applications can access which files, folders, and your memory. So, if someone writes a third-party app for ransomware, it won't be able to actually run if you go in and you set up controlled folder access. Only the actual apps that you approve will be the only ones that will be able to access those folders. So you can go in and set it up maybe for like SQL or Office or whatever apps that you're using at work, and make sure those are the only ones that can manipulate these folders. And it is a protection against ransomware. Now, I want to say something straight out. There is no such thing as being bulletproof. This is definitely going to help you, but it's not going to stop it completely. All right? Hackers are always ahead of what we're trying to do to stop them. So, it is something that you should consider turning on, because it will give you added protection to your servers and your clients, especially against cyber attacks and how prevalent that could be right now. But it doesn't mean that you're 100% safe. It's just another layer of security that you're adding in to give yourself a little bit more peace of mind. All right? Against the professional hacker, who knows how they're going to be able to get around and get to this system. But this really is just another layer you're adding on. Now, with the actual client side, there is one additional component, the actual OneDrive. If you go out and you actually look at the settings for ransomware on a server, you won't see the actual OneDrive there. But on the client side, you get the option of using OneDrive. Microsoft recommends one of the best ways to protect yourself against ransomware is to, 1, use controlled folder access, and 2, back your stuff up by using OneDrive. Now, I don't know if I 100% agree with the backup with OneDrive. Yes, back up. That I agree with. But everybody gets only a certain amount of space in OneDrive. Once you go beyond that, you got to sign up and pay Microsoft money. So if they can get you to upload everything that you have from your box onto OneDrive, they're going to make extra money on you every month. So that's why, yeah, this is obviously an option that they push. Now, the controlled folder access, 100%. I would definitely consider doing that, especially on the server side. But on the OneDrive, that's up to you. If you're doing good backups, that's what you're really trying to protect against. All right, you're trying to protect your data so that if they do lock you up in a ransomware environment, you can still get to your data. But with that being said, let me tell you one quick thing. When I teach the hacking class, I talk about some documentaries that are out there. All right, there's some really good hacking documentaries. And I always talk about a hacking documentary out there called Kill Chain. It's a documentary that actually talks about hacking into different types of systems, including the United States government. One thing that they talk about, and this is what you got to understand when it comes to backups, hackers are very, very patient. A lot of times when they set their hack up, they wait a long period of time before they actually kick the hack off. In that documentary, they talk about hacking into Alaska. They waited a year before they actually initiated the attack. Now think about that. That means for the last year, we've been backing up the hack. So, yes, backups are something you definitely need to do. And using OneDrive might be the best way on your client side. But a lot of times, because they're so patient, it's not going to completely stop it. So just keep that in the back of your mind. All right? Just important to think about. They're very, very patient people. All right? So they have an end game in sight, and they want to make sure they reach that end game. And sometimes that means they take their time. All right? So that documentary, Kill Chain, it's an excellent documentary. You can get it on like HBO On Demand. Okay? I think it's on Netflix. One of the people that was in my class last week in my hacking class told me that they got it on Apple TV. So there are ways that you can actually watch that documentary. But it is a very, very good documentary, and you really get to see, yes, there are way too many streaming services. You really get to see what hackers do and how patient they are when they attack an organization. A little bit about who we are if you are joining us online. We are StormWind Studios. We are an online training organization. We teach our classes the same way that I'm basically giving you this presentation. We do live classes. You get to ask questions. You get to actually post up comments. We have classes on pretty much anything you can think about when it comes to IT. From project management to Cisco to hacking to Microsoft, all right, to CISSP, we have hundreds and hundreds of instructor-led IT, cybersecurity, project management classes. If you are not part of StormWinds and you are watching us online right now and you would like to get more information about who we are and how you can actually join in and start joining us in our classes, you can actually contact Mike Fajan, and you can get him at mike.fajan@stormwindlive.com. You can contact him by phone at 480-339-2731. So if you would like to learn cybersecurity, Microsoft, Cisco, project management, also you want to obtain your certifications for your very first time, reach out, talk to Mike, He'll actually take excellent care of you. And hopefully, I will see you in one of my classes very soon. So listen, for all of you that have come out today and spent almost an hour with us going through an introduction to Windows 11, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your very busy day. All of us here at StormWinds knows, because we've all been in the industry, we know how valuable your time is. So we really do appreciate you taking some time to come out and hang out and see an introduction to Windows 11. I am StormWind Studios instructor and Cybex author William Panek. Thank you for coming out and joining me on Introduction to Windows 11, and I look forward to seeing you in one of my classes real soon. Thanks for coming out, everybody.